Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Cass. Today we're going to be practicing our drawing. It's been too long since we did a classic Marvel hero, and I haven't been practicing my drawing enough lately. So grab your pencil because we're going to draw Moon Knight. Okay, so you know me, I love history, and I gotta give you a little bit of background on who this character is. So I'm gonna make it as brief as I can. Moon Knight is no spring chicken, appearing first in 1975. Writer Doug Munch and artists Al Milgrom and Don Perlin had a baby, and that baby's name was Mark Spector, who would go on to be known as Moon Knight. Mark started out as a mercenary hired to take down the werewolf in Werewolf by Night, and he was so well liked that he soon got his own story. As his tale began back in the 70s, it's obviously a long one, but let's do our best to summarize it. After all, this is a drawing tutorial, not a history lesson, so let's not tarry on the details. In short, Mark started out as a marine/spy/mercenary and got his powers on a mission to the Sudan, where he briefly dies and is subsequently resurrected by the Egyptian moon god Khonshu. He believes he's been spared by the god so that he can redeem his past life of violence. He is now the left fist of Khonshu, protector of the innocent. Moon Knight appeared with lots of other Marvel greats. He fought with the Avengers, he fought with Spider-Man, and a lot of others. He tended to pop in to fight and then disappear quickly. One of his primary characteristics is dissociative identity disorder. It's a bit nebulous, but it seems as though all of his active alter egos, childhood trauma, and his psychic connection to the god Khonshu were too much of a strain on his psyche and caused the dissociative state. So, what are Moon Knight's powers? Also a bit nebulous. He's a bit Batman-like in that respect. He relies on athletic ability, advanced technology, expert combat, and detective skills, and a high tolerance for pain based on willpower, training, and experience. Sounds familiar. Moon Knight shows some minor psychic abilities and a penchant for coming back to life. You just can't keep a good cosmic vigilante down. So, now that we know all about Moon Knight's story, or a little bit about Moon Knight's story, what does he look like? A bit like this.
This is Moon Knight. He wears a suit of armor that looks more like underwears than armor, but I hear that his armor is made of the same indestructible metal, adamantium, that Wolverine's skeleton is made from. He wears a cape, which has a suspiciously crescent moon-like shape when he descends from on high. He wears a hood that covers his face. You can never see his face as Moon Knight. Only a pair of glowing, sneering eyes peeking out from underneath his hood. He looks a bit like the Silver Surfer dressed up as the Grim Reaper for Halloween. So I'm starting off my drawing here with some light lines to make sure that I know where everything's going to go. Drawing is not my strong suit, and maybe when I'm better at this, I'll be able to start off with bold and ambitious lines. But for now, I need to start off with some soft ones so that I can fix everything just in case of mistakes, because there will be mistakes. As I'm sketching in his main figure here, I'm remembering the negative space in between the different elements of this picture. So that rhomboid shape formed by his two legs, or that trapezoidal shape between his right leg and his right arm. Trying to get the negative spaces down as much as I can. And once I'm pretty satisfied that everything's in the right place, I can start making some bolder lines here with a softer pencil. I'm using a 5 or 6B here. You get a darker, more fearless black line with a softer pencil, so I like to use a 5 or 6B to make my nice black outline. Just drawing in the shape of his hood here, you can't really see the shape of his face at all, it's just a black void. In his cape, I want to get nice flowing lines. I want it to look really fluid and organic, like a big billowing crescent moon. Make sure that when you're doing his arm, you tuck his bicep in right into his armpit there. I can see looking back now that my drawing of Moon Knight is a little on the lean side. He's not quite as epic as the real illustration of Moon Knight is. But I admit I tend to err on that side because I worry about over sensationalizing the human body. Comic art is notorious for this intense beefcake culture, and while I have a desire to make the drawing look like the original, I also have the desire to make it look like a person. So I realize now that my Moon Knight looks a little less super than the real one, but he's your average everyday Moon Knight. He obviously hasn't skipped leg day, but he doesn't press like he used to. I really like this billowing edge of his cape here. That's got a nice shape to it, and I enjoy drawing fabric in that way. It can be a fun way to add a dynamic quality to an otherwise static drawing. A little drapery here and there. So now I've got the entire outline of his body done and a little bit of the inside stuff. I'm just filling in some guidelines for my scribble shading. My favorite part. Can't forget the lines on his forearms for his gauntlets or the lines on his calves for his boots. It's all the same color, so it can tend to blend in together. And there you go, within seconds of scribble shading, I scribble shaded right over top of one of Moon Knight's eyes. Good job. Oh, well, he's got a spare. So here for my scribble shading, I've switched to a harder pencil, the same one that I did the original first light lines with. That's a 4H. I like this one because while you don't get as bold and black a line, you do get a cleaner, neater line, and it's easier to make fine details. It's easier to make some nice clean scribble shading that doesn't create a whole lot of graphite dust. And I find I really like my scribble shading phase done with a harder pencil. Highly recommend. How much hatching you want to include on his cape to give it shape is really up to you. Honestly, I only used a few lines to give it a little bit of dimension. You can get as detailed as you like. It's your world. Don't forget, when you draw his belt in, it's got these little crescent moon shapes on it, and that's just a nice little detail to include. Moon Knight, after all. There's something that I'm not really digging about his left leg here that I'm drawing, and I just cannot put my finger on what is wrong with it. It's not really pulling the whole drawing down, but there's something that's just not right about it. I think maybe the left thigh is too stumpy. It looks like a chicken wing. Anyway, it's good enough. He's clearly doing okay. This drawing's not going in a competition or anything. It's just in my drawing book. It's just practice. I enjoy the scribble shading part of a drawing like this, especially on a costume like this that is entirely monotone. Literally one single tone and there's nothing. It's white, okay? Add shadows to that white costume and all of a sudden you can tell what you're looking at. It gives it drama and dimension just like that. Looking at my cape, I feel like I kind of could have made better choices about the shape of the cape, but I'm trying not to be too hard on myself because the cape is a very malleable thing and it's always a different shape in the comic book drawings. It serves a stylistic purpose. And I think all in all, I'm happy with it. Thanks so much for joining me for this little tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, maybe you could gently tickle that like button and possibly subscribe to this channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any of our other videos. Oh, and also, yes, I have heard that there is a Moon Knight TV show, but it's on Disney Plus, and there are times when if I have nothing nice to say, I try not to say anything at all, so I have nothing to say about Disney or their Moon Knight.